welcome to Marketing Monday. It is the week before Thanksgiving, and today we are talking SEO, search engine optimization. So excited for this topic. Hey, Dave, where are you today? Traveling in your RV?
We are in the desert of Arizona, so we have a nice view off the deck this week.
Ah, beautiful. It's beautiful. Wow. So today we're going to talk about some ways that Dreamscape gets their senior living communities that they work with to rank in Google. Dave's going to share some secrets and some tips and some techniques, and it's going to be awesome. So stay tuned. Hey, Dave. Okay, listen, I am really excited for SEO, but what I'm even more excited for is that you said that today we were going to talk something about stuffing. So I know in the South we use cornbread for our stuffing, and for Thanksgiving, and my favorite recipe is in Bell's Best. So I thought I'd share a recipe with you for the stuffing that we call dressing, if that fits in the topic.
Yeah.
You waiting for the recipe?
Yeah.
Okay, let me find it.
No, so that's a big topic in our world, is that the day, it's Thanksgiving, so perfect, but the days and years of keyword stuffing in SEO are long over, and Google has gotten past that. So that is that's a touchy subject that we're moving away from that. That is not going to work for you anymore. So I love stuffing. I love stuffing, but not here.
Yeah, but not here. Okay, well, we'll talk about that, other things that you can do besides just stuff all your content with keywords in just a little bit. But first, we want to talk just why are we talking about SEO? Why is it important? And I know it's a little bit of a daunting subject for some people because it has a lot of tech to it. Tell us a little bit more about why it's important. And
sure. No, I mean, so I'm a Simon Sinek fan, so I like to start with why. Everything is, why are we doing this? Why are we learning it? It's the why, what, and how, right? So I think the best analogy I came up with is for people like me who are traditional marketers, and I think a lot of the point of this series is kind of disarming digital. Digital is scientific versus art. A lot of us are creatives. We have creative or business backgrounds. So I think a lot of this is really just getting to the why of why we're doing something. So baking versus cooking, right? Another thing I'm a fan of. So a tablespoon of salt versus a cup of salt is going to ruin baking, but salt in cooking is subjective. So SEO is more science. There's an art to it. People who get good at it, don't get me wrong, there's an art to it. But it is definitely more science than art. So we have to have those formulas correct in order to get the best results. So I think baking and cooking is a good analogy for this. So good.
And we know that salt ratio is very, very important. So it must mean that everybody in senior living is investing heavily in SEO, right?
Well, so we look back at our marketing survey and wait, that's not mine. Wait, no, it's not. We look back at our marketing report from this year, which is going to be coming out very shortly, and we found that about a quarter of communities from the business standpoint are investing in SEO as part of their digital plan, and about half have made it a priority. So we are 50-50, flying a little blind and not prioritizing one of the methods of digital marketing, which is actually, if our goal is always increasing new resident move-ins while lowering our cost of marketing, SEO is about one of the most best ways to do that. And only about half of us are looking at it, and a quarter of us are investing in it from a business standpoint. So that's a little troubling. And so we want to get down to the why. So for me, that math, the math and the algorithms and the complexity of this for the creative guy gets a bit amorphous. And when things get amorphous, we tend to zone out a little bit and our eyes roll back in our head and like, I don't get this. I don't get the why, right? And then I definitely don't get the how. And so it becomes easy for people like me and a lot of our community marketers to to let things slide, to focus other places. I understand social media better. I understand other things better. And that's just natural, right? I don't think that's anything wrong, but I think, and the point of today is to get to that, to get to to understand the why and then get to the what and the how. How are we going to do it? And what are the components of doing it? So that's my goal here.
Yeah.
It's just to kind of disarm with that. So here we go.
Yeah, and you say that it's SEO. It's interesting. Only what it's the blue one. If it's very
Oh
small
yeah.
on your screen,
Yeah.
it's the optimism. Or sorry, wait, which one is it? I can't
Uh,
see. It's the yellow one, maybe.
yes, I think it is. It's hard for me to see too, but yes. So yes, about a quarter. But go ahead. About a quarter are investing in it, and about 50
There we go.
50 as a
Thanks.
major.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you look at how many people are. What's your target market doing? And so you compare what you're investing in to what your target market's doing. Do we know how many people are looking on SEO for your content?
Oh, for sure. I mean, most new resident research is starting on Google, and that's about 75%. So this is your far and away your most direct digital channel to people who are searching for you, for sure.
Yeah. There we go. Digital marketing strategy. And so, where are we as an industry? It seems like we're playing catch up a little bit.
It is. So let's see. Let's move. Let's see. Oh, and by the way, well, here, this is the slide we wanted to get to. So if 75% of those people are starting on Google, these are your, actually, this is, doesn't matter, same one. So if you see in the top right there, that's your organic, that's the click-through rate for all of these positions, right? So the number one organic position is getting 40% of the traffic, if someone Googles independent living or independent living near me. So that's it, right? So if the majority of your audience is starting their research there, and then almost half of them are moving to you through that top position, this is where you have to be. That's the why. That's about as simple as I can make it, right? This is why we need to be doing this. Not only is it cost effective, it's where the majority of traffic is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start looking about how we do this. We've got some SEO components that you want to start thinking about when you start thinking about planning out your SEO strategy. Can we talk about those a little bit?
Sure. I think a lot of people confuse SEO and content marketing. I think that's easy to do. They are definitely related, but there's more. There's much more to that. There's different components of SEO that have nothing to do with your content. Actually, yeah, there you go. So if we can just touch on those real quick, just to kind of give everybody, an overview. So schema, this is coding. This is coding that's done on your website that directly talks to Google. It has to do with your location. It has to do with a lot of your business information. So that's going to affect things like Google My Business and your organic ranking. You need that code filled out, faithfully and well, and talking to Google and completely. So very important there. That's technical SEO, has nothing to do with your on-page content, your blogging, thing like that. Backlinking. So what this means is other sites that literally have a link on their site back to yours. And what we get into there is domain authority. The longer you're around, the higher Google ranks a site, and it attributes a score of domain authority. And the higher the referring site's domain authority back to you, the more juice it gives you. So it's saying, Google's saying, this site is super trusted, and it links back to your site. They must also be super trusted, so higher scores. Site speed. The stats are always changing, but people are impatient, and they abandon, especially on mobile, things pretty quickly. So if you are not loading quickly, and that involves what's called PHP scripting, they're going to bounce. And a high bounce rate is something you do not want. But then of course, content relevancy, which is what most people think about. This is well-written content, whether they be blogs or even on your service pages as well. It has to be very well done to speak to not only Google, but to speak to your reader. So those are the bits that are, kind of usually past what everybody's thinking about. And then the Google Data Suite, your dashboard, we need to be able to measure all these things. It's not enough to do them. You need to see which ones are working for you and which ones aren't. And that's what your Google Analytics is going to tell you. You need to make sure you're attributing everything back to its original source and see what's working, see what's not, and adjust as necessary.
So there's a lot to it, and we're going to cover a few tips for people along this way. Jody, to answer your question about the recording, thank you for asking that. Yes, this is airing live right now, and then it will appear on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. For the future, it'll be recorded and still available. And this is actually the 3rd episode in our digital marketing series. So if you are watching and you haven't caught the first 2 episodes, you can go back and check our YouTube, Senior Living Foresight's YouTube, and look for that series, Digital Marketing, and you can kind of catch up and build to here. And we were just talking about content marketing. In fact, the next time, our next episode in this series is going to be about content marketing. We're going to delve in a lot deeper onto that. So next up, we've got in general the tools that we use. How long? So let's say you start doing all of this stuff, or doing whatever you can figure out, or hiring Dreamscape to do it. How long before you start ranking and seeing some results?
So that's like the dreaded question, right? That's the question that nobody wants to answer. And so, well, I will say this. I have a therapist for a mother-in-law, and one of the most important things she's taught me over 20 years of marriage is setting expectations. So the answer is, no one likes this answer, by the way, but the answer is 6 to 12 months. And you're like, yeah, but I need to like move the needle now. I'm like, okay, well, so there are things we can do. In the meantime, there are different areas we can focus on that are outside SEO, but also inside SEO. We can move from levers, but I think it's very important that we understand these industry standards for the time frame of SEO. It is a 6 to 12 month ramp up process, and there are factors that affect that. The main ones, the size of your site, how much information Google already has to interact with, your site's history, how has it been interacting in the past with Google, your backlinks for sure. What do you already have in place? What is your domain authority already? And the age of your site. You put up a site tomorrow versus, 2 weeks ago versus 2 years ago versus 10 years ago. Google recognizes that as a ranking factor as well, and a trust factor. So those are the main ones. There's plenty more. Again, it's like you got to slow me down today because SEO is such a huge topic. It's obviously mainly what Dreamscape does. We are an SEO agency. There's a lot of ways we can take this conversation, but we're really trying to hit the top level points and kind of take the scariness out of this. So, but yeah, that's the answer is 6 to 12 months, and that's the answer that nobody really wants to hear. But again, plenty of things to do in the meantime too.
It is. It's like, okay, I need SEO. I need to rank. 6 to 12 months. But,
Yeah.
But the two tricks are you're gonna share some tips in a minute about some things that you can do in the meantime to start building up your
Sure.
people seeing your site. And then the second thing is, of course, once you get it done, then it's working for you behind the scenes, right? So you got to get started, but then it starts working for you long term. But what's the first step that you want to do when you're thinking about SEO?
For me, it's always understanding where you are. Because people then ask you after you have that difficult conversation, it's okay, where do we start? Where are we? And where do we want to go? What are the goals? And a lot of times for us, it's building backwards from those goals. It's not, every plan is different. And that's where some, especially more corporate entities with a lot of communities in different places, they get in trouble with a blanket plan that addresses one, doesn't address the other. But again, the question was, where do you start? And it's knowing where you stand. It's auditing your own website for SEO. There are tools for that. There are free tools for that. There are many tools for that. It's going to give you a ranking score. It's going to show you where your opportunities are, where your deficits are. And a lot of things, one of our favorite jokes is like, you don't have to outrun the bear. You just have to outrun the guy next to you, right? So that means your local competition. If senior living is drawing from a certain radius, 10 to 15 miles, for the most part, you don't have to outrank the world. You don't have to conquer the universe. You have to beat the communities in your metro area, right? So that's pacing. So look to see what they're doing. I mean, that's competitive analysis. Just go out. How often are they posting? How often are they updating pages? When you Google something and see it go to them, what's on that page? What did you search for to get that? And see, to follow their thought process through and see what they're doing. That's an absolutely free way to just start understanding your competition. But when you just shotgun or blanket things, when you're not being custom, what you risk is inefficiency. You risk overspending or underspending. Um, and that's part of what we're trying to get to here is the efficiency of spend, right? We don't just want to rank at the top. We want to be efficient. So we don't want to waste money, but we also don't want to underspend either. We want to get the sweet spot, right? We want to get right in there for spending the right amount of money for the right amount of goal and getting those results delivered. That's the aim. So
Yeah, great. So let's get into some actual steps on how Dreamscape is about this. Of course, as you said, there's a ton to it, but you're going to share a few tips
sure.
To give an idea of how this happens. So step one, step one is basically optimize everything, everywhere you are, right?
Yes, absolutely. So again, a lot of people have that mindset to like, let's just get one page to the top of our ranking. And I think I've said this before, so I won't go into it, but your SEO can reach a lot more than just that one service page, or just that one more blog. It helps with your Google My Business. If you use it on your social channels, directory listings, you want to get as many listings for you. If it's a video that links back to your YouTube page, a rich snippet, all that stuff you see on page one, people also ask that kind of stuff. We want to dominate all of that. We want to take up as many spots as possible. So yes, we want to take our SEO and our organic presence to as many options as possible. So yes, that would be that there. Just don't stop with just one listing on page one.
Yeah, and specifically, what a lot of people may not think about is their services pages on their
Mhm.
website. So not only their homepage, but those individual pages that talk about the services.
Yeah, I think again, a lot of people we conflate SEO and content marketing, which is usually your blogging, but your service pages can absolutely be optimized too. You should absolutely have, your town, your city, all that in there.
Yeah.
For sure, you should. When someone puts in, assisted living Phoenix, Arizona, um, that page on your site that talks about assisted living should mention Phoenix a few times so that you're telling Google where you are. I mean, you're creating relevancy. So for sure,
Yeah.
yeah. It's not
Yes.
just your
How
blog;
many
it's your service pages.
exactly. I know a lot of people like will go to websites to see where a business is located or something, and it doesn't have it on there. It doesn't mention it at all. So
Mhm.
yeah, don't forget to put that in there. Not everybody knows it. Google certainly may not.
Yeah.
So as you're waiting on your organic SEO to take hold, one thing that you've said that you can do is to work on your local listing.
Yes.
Um, and we have a slide on that. Yeah. Dave, you want to talk us through how we're kind of doing on local listings?
So yeah, so this is I see it as an opportunity. So this is I did this about 2 days ago, so it's probably relevant to Arizona or Utah or something. But anyway,
Mhm.
in your organic side, which is the far right there, which are getting the most traffic, it's small now, but I believe it is a place for mom, caring, and a third aggregator that I'm not aware of. But as you can see, the fourth spot is an actual community, but they're probably getting somewhere in the 5% of that traffic, and that's not good. And this is not unusual either. So again, let's normalize that we are all having this problem now. Because local is so important to people, it's like, okay, I'm looking in the area of Phoenix, Arizona. I know this town. I've lived here. I want to live in a certain part. So when they see that map come up, they can already in their mind go, that's okay. Their community's in the part of town I am already familiar with and the like. And the opportunity here is if we've got that 6 to 12 month SEO program running, if you go into your Google business profile, start optimizing for that, you get to those top positions, the 17, the 18% click-through rate, and people's decision-making queue is, oh, I can visually see where that community is, and that's a big deal. This is an area we can work on. We can work on our Google My Business and get those local click-throughs up while we're waiting to climb from that fourth spot to the first spot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then another step that you can take in the meantime is to blog. And you've said that
Mhm.
blogging is not the be all and end all of SEO, but it is
No,
certainly a good step.
no, and there's both organic things you can do there as well as technical things. So if you're not all following Google religiously on Twitter. No, anyway. So in August, they released, they announced rather the helpful content update. And that is just, them doubling down on, topics that people actually want to read. So our advice is similar. We want to follow and focus. What are people searching for? What do they want to know about? And we know this by looking at things like people also ask. These will be long tail, long term. This is what people are actually asking Google. And so Google knows this. So it's like they know when someone that Googled assisted living Phoenix, Arizona, these variations also come up and they're called long tail. And I'm not saying you use this exact phrasing, but how is most assisted living care usually paid for? That's something I probably want to know as the adult child of a senior, right? So if you simply have a blog article that answers that question, and maybe it's not titled exactly that way, but very close, that's a truly helpful content update that you could make. And so Google's just telling you this for free. So use some of your higher level, more difficult keywords like senior living Phoenix, Arizona, which is highly competitive, but then scroll down and see what people are also asking, see related searches. And that's going to give you some blogging ideas to generate that truly helpful content. So an interesting strategy. Everybody, again, they want to go after those really hard keywords, but we take that a little further. The long tails, I mean, it's not just about ranking for them. So what we actually do is we go beyond that to focus on high intent searches. These are searches that we know ultimately end up in a move in. So again, it's working that backwards to go, okay, so maybe we like all of these 5 or 10 phrases, but these 2 are the ones that actually led to conversions. The only way to know that is to have the marketing data, and that's what we do. But let's focus on those 2. Let's focus on the answering the questions that actually literally help people convert. So we're connecting that art and science, right?
Yeah. So when you're blogging, basically, you're not just imagining some keywords to be like, I think this would be good. Your best practice is to research it. And one of the, I know Dreamscape can do a little bit more in-depth research, but as a start, you can look on the people also search and then just write blog posts about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, for sure. Yeah. No, yep. We definitely do go deeper with that, but they're definitely very, very specific and professional tools that you can go down a lot of SEO rabbit holes with. But yes, start there. I mean, it's, again, we're not trying to like conquer the universe. We're just trying to outrank a few of our competitors in the local area. So start, and then we can build on it.
We have 2 more steps to share with people, and then we're going to do a little bit of a roundup at the end with some final tips. So step 3 is to gauge how you're doing and compare how you're doing. How do you think of benchmarks? How do you figure out if what you're doing is working well enough?
How do you figure out? Let's see. How do we
like, sorry, that may have been a confusing way to word it. I mean, so you're doing SEO or you're working with a company, and then you're like, okay, so is it working? You can kind of tell if you're ranking, if you're moving up in the rank.
Sure.
But as you mentioned, you also probably want to compare your direct competitors and see if you're outranking them yet.
Well, yeah, no. Well, that's bringing in the part of tying everything back to your analytics, right? Is to see what is moving all the way down the funnel to a move in, and then working backwards from there. So the first part is just to kind of get there, is to get ranking, to get that real estate held, and then to see which ones are truly converting.
Right.
So yes, it's connecting your analytics with your strategy to see what's working.
Yeah, cool. That would be helpful to know. It seems so there's so much to keep in mind. But the last one is the step 4 is to get some quick wins. And you've mentioned in a previous episode that SEO is really, really cost effective for digital marketing, but it does take a while to start working. So what are a couple of ideas for quick things that people can do to try to jumpstart that a little bit even more?
Sure. So those existing things are what we kind of want to look at, and those less competitive pieces. So updating old articles. This is something you should be doing, we do all the time for ourselves. If you wrote an article 2 years ago about the cost of assisted living and there's something new to talk about there, you go back to that article and literally update it, add that new content, maybe bring in a graphic, some new images, interactivity, surveys, things like that. Google sees all of those things and is going to go, oh, okay, that content has become now new, refreshed, and more relevant than it was. So that's an easy, quick win. The rich snippets and the long tail keywords, again, it's creating content that answers those very specific questions. Maybe it's a video, maybe it's just a short article, but you want to, winning those rich snippets is usually very helpful. People see that in between the organic listings, even like, oh, this is even better than the organic listing. They are going right to my question and getting that answered. But
what is a rich snippet?
so when you Google something, Google will literally take that. It's a piece that, like I said, kind of answers that very specific question, whatever was Googled. But Google is going to insert it usually right before or after the first organic search. So it's not taking you to that page. It's taking you to a very specific part of that page, or maybe even a video or a graphic that like very concisely answers that specifically Googled question. So that's almost like getting a bonus organic listing. Basically, it's going to be like wedged in there between the two. So
Nice. That's a great tip. How do you do that? Do you do that on the back end of the site in some code?
yeah, there are tools in WordPress that you can specifically address going after the rich snippet with, for sure. Yep, and that's something anybody can do. Those are just plugins for WordPress. So, yep.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, these are great tips. Let's go to our final 5 takeaways and talk about them real quick just to wrap up. So the first takeaway is that, as you said at the beginning, many communities are not investing in SEO, which to me seems like a brilliant competitive advantage for you if you do decide to invest in SEO. Yes.
That would be fair, and again, that's pacing. It's if you happen to be in a metro area that is not invested, then your wins are going to come faster, easier, and cheaper. But what our I guess our advice to the industry would be is that this is where you need to be playing. This is where the long-term game is going to be won. So I guess, yes, take advantage of those competitive, that void while it's there. But I would hope that void doesn't stay there all that long.
Yeah, there we go. Because one thing we know for sure is the aggregators are heavily investing in SEO, and that's why they're ranking way up there.
That is, they've taken over a decade to build that up, and one thing we didn't get to was maybe I'm going to go out of order, but there's a graphic where I just happened to see when I did that assisted living search, the people also search for, like, suggested the things. A place for mom had 3 of the 10 related searches by brand name, and that tells me it's Google, which is an agnostic reader of the internet, doesn't care about senior living or any of our goals, objectives, or mission statements. They're just reading the internet over and over again. And A Place for Mom's been doing this for so long that Google, this from their agnostic standpoint, has made senior living and A Place for Mom synonymous. They have killed it to that extent, right? But that's something we need if we're going to do SEO ourselves to work against. But just to show you how long, and how entrenched they've done a great job at really mastering Google. But that is something we can absolutely work against. But yeah, it was staggering to find that. I was taken aback when I saw that. I was like, okay,
that's amazing. Yeah. That says a lot. And the takeaway number 2 is it does take investment. It takes investment of money, resources, time, and it takes time to kick in. Mm-hmm. But once you finally get over that hump, it's working for you long term, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, SEO is an owned asset. You own that website forever. If you're working with someone who doesn't allow you to own your website, I would suggest you run. But no,
yeah. Previous episode on that. So Digital University Part 2 for more on that. Yeah.
Well, so no, but having a good content team and a good SEO team that understand how to write things. Again, we are writing for content first, and then optimize it. That's a yin yang. So SEO attracts, right? SEO attracts researchers from the internet. Content converts. So they're a yin yang. They work together. A good writer. I don't want to devalue what a writer is worth, but a good writer is worth a lot. But a good writer is comparatively, talking big budgets, not expensive. And so an investment in that team or person, once that content is out there, it's owned by you, small to medium initial investment, you own it forever. It keeps working for you forever, day, night, 365. It is out there constantly. And so, yes, once you get over the hump, once you catch up, once you do enough of it to get where you need to be, you can throttle back and coast on that. Improve it as needed, and keep up with things. Keep looking after your rankings and making sure you keep up with it. But for sure, the cost, returns keep coming in while the cost is gone. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a difference from when SEO, from when the old days, back in the old days, when people used to do SEO, it would be keywords first, and the content was barely legible. And as long as you had those keywords in there, it ranked. But things are different these days. Yeah.
No more stuffing, and Google knows it. Google is getting, and that's one of the other things in this. The tough question in this industry is, can you control it? Well, we don't control it. We work with it. We understand it on a daily basis to work with it. Only Google controls Google. Anybody that tells you they control Google is full of stuffing. Anyway, we just work every day to keep up with it, and to optimize for it. That's the whole thing we're talking about here. Yeah.
That is the thing. It's always like changing and tweaking, but interestingly, changing and tweaking in ways that I have found benefit who are actually putting out good stuff, because it really helps to research that.
And to that point, patience too, because SEO is the long play. Again, we have things we can do in the meantime, but if you are tweaking and messing with your SEO on a daily basis, in the sense of it's not working fast enough, so I'm going to start move it. No, right? You've got to build that plan back, buy into it, and then sit back and let it ride while you do those other things. But to what you just said, messing with it on a daily basis, it's not crypto. You've got to be patient. Patience is part of this.
Yes, very much. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. So we talked a little bit about content marketing today. That is a big part of it. As you've said, it's not the same as SEO, but you can optimize your content in various ways, and also use content marketing just to nurture your leads and stuff. So next time that we're together, which will be a month from now, on December 12th, we're going to go in depth into that. And you can, to get a reminder for viewers, subscribe to Senior Living Foresight, seniorlivingforesight.net/subscribe, and you'll get an alert every Monday about what shows are coming up and what they will be about. And please visit Dreamscape's website to learn more about all that they do for SEO. They're really, really experts at it, specifically in the senior living space, which is key. So thank you so much, Dave. It was good to talk to you as always, and we'll see you next month.
All right. Thank you, Leanne. Bye, everybody.